Hey, this is George.
Hey, this is Frazier.
This is Real Talk with George and Frazier. Frazier, man, we had a great show last night, man, with
Wasn't it?
Andre. Yeah, man, awesome show. If you guys missed that, check it out on our Facebook page. But today we have a special show because we have a social media and marketing expert. Now, everything is online now with COVID and people being locked down and business owners trying to be able to understand how they transition their platform. Some have been into it, but some have not been, like, mechanics and
Exactly.
plumbers and carpenters and all these other people that need uh, business leads and relationships and being able to market their business. So we're very excited for this next guest. Let's bring him in.
Exactly.
Hello, sir.
Hey
Welcome to Real
guys,
Talk. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. What about you?
Good,
Doing
good,
good.
good,
Good.
good.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you too.
Mano, can you just tell the listeners and the guests your name, your background, so we can get into it?
Sure. My name is Mano Giragosian. I'm the founder of Giragosian Media. It's a marketing agency where we help e-commerce businesses to generate more leads and do more sales through utilizing the power of Facebook advertising and content on social media. I also host the Perspective podcast where I interview young and successful entrepreneurs such as multi-million dollar business owners, best-selling authors, and people who work with world-class athletes and celebrities. So yeah, that's briefly about me.
Awesome. Awesome.
Nice. That was
So
short and brief.
short and brief. Yeah, we like that.
Yeah.
So how did you get into that?
Yeah, so I was born in Syria, and during the war, I had to immigrate to Armenia because I'm Armenian. So we came here with not having too much. I was like facing some financial issues, financial barriers, and I had to find a job to work. And I started like searching for a way to earn more money, and like not in an easier way, but in a way that I can do what I love, which is like for me it was like just working for myself from home. So
Right.
yeah, I was searching for a way to earn more money, and I came across the internet like everyone else, where I was searching like everything, and I found like content about content. I saw some marketers sharing the importance of doing content. So one of the reasons I started doing that was watching Gary Vaynerchuk's videos. And when I saw like him doing all these things, marketing became my passion. I was thinking like it's my way to go out of all the issues that I'm facing in my life. So I started like doing more research and finding out how can I like do something on the internet. And I went and worked in one of the companies here in Armenia for free for 6 months just to learn marketing and see how it's going, like what's going on in the world. And yeah, later I started like diving deeper into that, and I started producing my own content, which led me to have some sort of audience. People started reaching out to me to do some work for them, and yeah, that's how it all started.
Nice.
Nice.
Um, what are some of the difficulties that you see in that field? And it's a two-pronged question for, a lot of times people are going on YouTube or other social medias and it's
Mhm.
super saturated with either people selling their services for Facebook ad, Google ads, Bing, or any other place out there, or they'll market your product on Instagram. And being a business owner myself, an author, I get hit with a lot of these pitches and emails and text messages come to me.
Yeah.
But from my research and dabbling in it in a little bit, Frazier and I have real estate background, so we've run Facebook ads and we've done a few things, but not to a great success. So for me,
Mhm.
it's like just throwing darts at a board and just
Exactly.
wishing and praying and saying, "Oh, good luck," but we're not getting the return on our dollars that we're seeing. What are some of the uh, 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 barriers that you're meeting when it comes to the
Yeah.
business? And secondly, some of your methods that get a good rate of return (ROI) for some of your clients that we're not seeing being produced here.
Sure. So, it's really interesting. Now it's so easy to learn everything on the internet, but at the same time, there's too much noise there. So there's too much misleading information. So as you mentioned, it's so saturated. A lot of people are doing it, But what's interesting is that few people are doing it the right way. So if you can like just find your way and do it the right way, it will work for you, even if it's saturated. So when it comes to digital marketing, one of the misconceptions is that people think that it's different than the marketing we had before 10 years or 20 years. It's not different, it's the same. So that's why many people are forgetting about the standards, like knowing your audience, doing your research, finding your competition, or finding the right platform for you. So these are the standard and important things that people are not talking about now, because they think like they just have to, I don't know, turn some ads on Facebook on and it will work. But it's not like that. You need to do a research. You need like to treat Facebook the same way you used to do like back in days, like email marketing, or maybe before that radio marketing and this stuff. So first of all, you need to know your audience and where they are on. Now we have like maybe 5 or 6 big platforms, which are Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and these platforms. So you need to find out where are your audience, which is the most important thing. And the second thing is to find out what you are good at. So if you are good at video, you need to be on YouTube, not anywhere else. If you are not good at video, you are good at writing blogs, for example, you might use Twitter, LinkedIn, and these platforms to share your written texts better than being on YouTube. So it's very important to find what you are good at as well, to be able to succeed. Because, you know, when people consume your content, they feel your passion. For example, if you are on TikTok and you don't like yourself dancing, no one will like you dancing as well. So that's why you need to be passionate about that.
Right.
That's very important point. Like that's the second thing. And the third thing is to understand content. Many people produce content for themselves, but people don't consume content if you are producing it for yourself. They need to consume it for themselves. So you need to think of your audience, what problems they have, what they would like. If you are, for example, in the entertainment field, you need to find out what they like. If you are in the education field, you need to find out what barriers they have, what problems they have. And if you can manage to combine these two together, you will win. Because people on social media consume content for 2 reasons: to be educated or entertained. And if you can manage to combine these both, like Gary Vaynerchuk, if you focus on his content, he does both entertaining and educating people. That's why he wins in his content. People like to be entertained. So yeah, it's saturated, obviously, but if you do it the right way, you will win.
Okay. Frazier.
So let me ask a question. Like I say, it's saturated, and a lot of people do the exact same thing. Some of you offer courses and all type of stuff, show you how to do it, but they don't give you a certain inch of it. And they always lead you to buy like a program or something like that, or something leading. Like when you're doing your marketing, do you market courses, or do you market more towards content or toward education to teach people how to do media, if I have media advertising, stuff like that? Like some people.
Yeah. So I'm not against courses, but I don't like them. I don't buy courses. I just bought few courses just to see what's going on there. For example, I have a program, but it's not a course. It's not pre-recorded videos. I do it one-on-one live trainings, because, you know, one size doesn't fit all. How can you like just record one video and it will work for all people online? I don't like courses. I think, you know, you can learn some things from it, but as you said, they won't give you the way to do it. And there's one other thing, like sometimes, okay, the course won't tell you what to do, but they give you the main concept, so you have to do it yourself. Because even when I, for example, coach my own clients, sometimes I have this problem where I tell them something and they would agree with it and everything is okay, then they won't execute within it, and then they would complain like why we are not seeing results. And the same way is with the courses. For example, Tai Lopez, when he launched his SMMA course before, I don't know, maybe 5 years, 6 years, everyone started like criticizing him that it's a scam and this stuff. But there's some small group of people who did what he said in his course, and they are earning like 6-figure a month now, or maybe more than that. So even when it comes to courses, there are some good courses, but not all of them. So you have to be careful of choosing the right one. And if you don't like to spend money, and that, again, you can find all the information on the internet. It's free. The same information is available on the internet, but the course is for someone who's not willing to spend too much time or money testing different things, so they would use it as a shortcut to just buy it and see like how it works.
Yeah, but there, man, what you're forgetting to add is people are lazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they'll go
yeah,
ahead and they'll buy a course thinking that it has all the answers, and the courses are just like an outline. I mean, it's just like my book that I wrote on property management. That's
yeah,
my 15-year journey about real estate property management. And although I give you a lot of information in that book, there's still some things that you have to do because what happens in my state of New Jersey is different in Florida, where Frazier is different in New York. And sometimes the laws are different. And what you're
yes.
starting to see in this very quick cell phone, Google search type of environment and culture is people want the answer like that. They want this like that,
Yes.
and they don't want to have to work for it.
Yes, and you know, people overvalue their time when it's worth nothing. For example, if you are a businessman and you have 10,000 of projects and you are busy, okay, I agree with you. Go buy the course because it will be like a shortcut to not spend too much time on it. But if you are free, you don't have anything. For example, someone like students, you are just sitting at home and spending, I don't know, 1 hour studying your lessons, and after that, you are spending all your time on Netflix. So instead of doing that, go search for everything on Google. Everything is available for free. You don't need to buy the course to waste some money. Go search for it, spend more time on it, and you will find all the answers. And you know, even the best course in the world, even the best product or the best service you can buy, it won't worth anything if you don't take actions. You have to do that. You have to experience that. Because you know, even when you study in the school and the university and start doing business in real life, the theories change. It's not the same. Everything will change. So just reading some headlines won't help. You have to like take the action and have some experience to see what's going on in the real world, because everything is different there.
That is true. But I mean, I got a question for you. What do you say to somebody who like an old dog trying to learn new tricks? Like somebody who's never seen internet before and they want to get into marketing mom and pop business or some of that and try to introduce yourself to real world of internet and social media. How do you help someone like that who never
Yeah,
seen it?
you know, if they are really passionate about it, it's really like easy to help them. But if they are doing it just to earn money fast in a quick ways, they will fail definitely, because when you are looking for fast money, you will start searching for shortcuts, and you will start following the wrong route because there's no shortcuts, and you will lose your way. But if they are really passionate about that, you know, it's really easy. You can just, social media is free. That's really great. You know, I don't complain ever. Like, people complain, for example, Facebook decreased their organic reach or LinkedIn decreased their. I don't complain about that because it's a free tool. I'm grateful that I have it. For imagine like paying $10 a month to use Facebook. You would complain about that more. So if it's easy, you can just open a Facebook page, go to Google. You don't know how to open it, go to Google and search, how can I open a Facebook page? Open that Facebook page, then search, how can I don't know, how can I, for example, do Facebook ads? Search about that, and then like you can just do Facebook advertising starting from $1 a day. It's nothing. If you just spend like $1 a day and test it for the whole month for $30, you will learn a lot of things from it, and you can like start testing everything in the same way depending on what you do and what level you are at. But you can search about everything and open your pages just to test it. For example, before I started to work, I had 2 Instagram pages where I wouldn't sell anything. I was just testing hashtags, posting and this stuff, and I grew those 2 pages to 5,000 followers at that time.
Mhm.
I mean, I learned a lot from it. But then when I went to talk with a client or to work somewhere, when they asked me about something, I knew how to answer them. So you can just literally open pages, do, I don't know, test anything you want on the internet, do a selfie video, just post it on YouTube, even if it won't get you like thousands of followers, but you will get some insights. For example, someone would enter and write a comment to you that you suck, you shouldn't do it in a selfie way, you should like do it, for example, with a better camera, and you will learn from that. You will get some insights from that. It's all about testing.
Okay. And in your years of experience, how much testing? Because I know that, and when I say how much testing do you require? Let me finish the question. Because I know that a lot of business owners, we have budgets that we have in place. And with those budgets, you know, a lot of times it doesn't include testing dollars. Like, for instance, if I was just running an advertisement in a newspaper, it would be $250 a month. The advertisement would go out and there wouldn't be any testing like dollars. But what you're saying with social media is sometimes people are saying you got to spend, okay, let's take Facebook. You got to spend $50 a day for a week to get testing data that comes back. And in my mind, I'm saying, okay, $50 a day for a week at 7 days, that's $350. And we have nothing tangible yet. You see what I mean? That I can use to put myself in a better situation or get me to where I want to go. So, in like Frazier was saying, a lot of people that don't understand how internet marketing works. He
Mhm.
said, I just threw away $350. But in your mind, you're like, I got 1 week worth of data that I can use to pare down from this particular group, add more ad dollars to that particular age
Yes.
group. You see what I mean? And it spreads it out. How do you combat that particular
Yes.
scenario for small business owners like myself and Fraser?
Mhm. You know, when it comes to business owners, it's a little bit different. As you mentioned, like many businesses have limited budgets. So you have two options. One of them is to test it yourself and learn about that. But the other thing is that you can hire someone, and you don't need someone, I mean, so not professional. I mean, you don't need an expert from the first day. You need someone just who understands everything that's going on in that world. So they can like at least get you some data, and even if you break even, you don't need to make profits, but you can get some data from there and you learn that. I know one of the I have a friend who's a business owner. He has a company, and I was chatting with him. He said that he learned Facebook ads from his contractor. So that was really interesting. Like you can bring someone and pay them, I don't know, monthly $400, $500. Instead of spending it in that advertising budget, you pay them that, and they will save you a lot of money. They will even get you some data, and at the same time, you will, I don't know if you are selling something or not, you will generate some profits from that. And even though if you break even, that's like a free learning for you. You can learn from them, and then if you can have more budget to invest in them, you can do that, or not, you can do it yourself after learning. But that's one of the ways that you can do, is to bring someone who has some knowledge about that. Because, you know, for example, I mean, there's a lot of business owners, but not all of them are great marketers, or some of them are good at Facebook ads, some of them are good at managing people, some of them good at operating and this stuff. So you need to find what's good for you. And if you feel like, it's about self-awareness, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. If you feel like it's not for you, it's it's even better to bring someone else to do it for you.
Okay.
So
Fraser?
I got a question for you. Like when you trying to figure out the right content to actually market. Like say someone like me, say somebody who don't know anything about content, who don't know what to put up, what to post. They post a picture of a kitty cat, a picture of a dog playing with a ball. Like what content that you can help them think about and help create to get what they actually looking for.
Yes, that's so easy. You know, you need first of all, you know your audience, right? So it's all about asking the right questions and finding the answer to those questions. First of all, you have to put yourself in your audience's shoes. So what they would like to see from you. For example, if you sell, let's say, a course on how to launch a podcast, let's say. So what would be the questions that they would ask you? For example, how can I set up a podcast kit, for example, the microphones and this stuff, the technical stuff. So I would write a post about that. And the other one would be, for example, how can I get 1,000 listeners, downloads on my podcast? I would write a post about that. And after like dividing your main topic into subtopics, you will have like maybe millions of topics to write about. You will test all of them, and then you will see the interaction of your audience. Like, for example, you will see that technical content is not working so good, but for example, motivational content is doing great, so I would double down on that. Or you will have some insights, and even after that, it's better to do paid ads, because you already know what your audience would like to see from you. For example, for me, when I started doing Facebook ads, one of the biggest mistakes I did was like, I had one message and I was targeting all people with the same message, and it was being irrelevant for them. So I started then customizing my message for each audience. For example, if I'm selling coffee, let's say, I would target people who work, for example, in a bank and like coffee, with someone's picture who's drinking coffee in an office. But if I target people who like coffee and like hiking, I would target them with someone who's hiking and stops and drinking that coffee. I wouldn't target them with the same message because it will be irrelevant for them.
Right.
Gotcha.
Okay. Um, your client base now, you said you work with a lot of people. Do you get your clients by word of mouth? Do you get your clients by advertising? Do you have a set procedure where, okay, this client comes in like a funnel? Do you have like a set procedure? He's new.
Yeah.
He's been with me for a little bit. He's a long-term client. How do you structure your business in our
Yeah, so I do both. I have like outbound lead generation system and inbound lead generation system. One of my main I mean places that I get my leads is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my favorite platform because for now it decreased its organic reach a little bit, but it still have like higher organic reach than other platforms. So that's one of the things I do. I produce a lot of content on LinkedIn. And the other thing I do is podcast, where I meet like different people, and I grow my audience there. So I do like post in Facebook groups. You can there's like thousands of Facebook groups. You can enter there and post there, provide them with some value. Those are all about inbound lead generation. Like people reach out to me to work to do some work with them. And on the other way, because you don't have control over that, you need someone to reach out to you, but they might not, so you don't have control over it. I do outbound lead generation as well. I find some leads, I mean businesses. For example, I search for businesses who don't do Facebook advertising, and I reach out to them asking like, why you are not doing it? See, your competitors are doing it as well, you need to do it. So I would reach out to them and start like building my relationship with them to do business as well. So I focus on both. It's interesting. I have been working for 4 years in marketing. In the first 2 years, I didn't do any outreach. Like every client I had was people reaching out to me from my content. Now in the last few months, just I started like doing more outreach because because I'm looking to scale, and you can't just depend on one source of leads.
All right. Now you said looking to scale. I know you can't be doing all this by yourself. How big is your staff? And like for instance, do you have a staff that says, okay, we're going to focus on video content, staff of writers? Because when
Yes.
content production, the biggest problem is writing the content. Like I have a website, and I have an author's website, and I also have a consulting website. And, a lot of people are saying, well, you need to be writing articles. Well, yeah, I write books, but I don't have time to sit down every week and write an article. They're like, no, not write one article. You need to write an article a day. And I'm like, well, who am I writing that article a day for? You know what I mean? Like, I have this, I have that, but I have a life. It took me months to write these books and finish them. Some of these books are 15 years old before I got to publish them. You see what I mean? And now you're
Yeah.
telling me I have to sit down and write an article a day for who? I can't pull that kind of energy every day in my mental process to write an article just for some Tom, Dick, and Harry that may pull it out and say, oh, we like George's ideal, or we don't. You know what I mean? Like my
Yes.
time is kind of valuable to that. So what would you say to that? Because there's two schools of thought. Well, you don't need an article a day for Google to get you indexed and to get into their, the big thing right now is SEO, getting on the first page of Google. Well, if you have a million companies trying to get on
Uh,
the first page of Google, that doesn't help you either.
yeah, let's be realistic here. That's some. Yeah, I mean, you can't do that. You just have like, I don't know how many hours you work a day, but at least you have maybe 8 hours, maximum 10 hours daily that you can work in, and you can't do all these things together. Let's be realistic. So I'm with quantity content. I like quantity, but as much as you can. Not, I mean, especially when you are just starting, you don't have to stretch yourself too thin, like doing blog post daily, doing a podcast daily, doing a LinkedIn post daily. You don't have to stretch yourself too thin, but don't put like all your eggs in one basket. So you have to test different platforms.
Mhm.
For me, when I started, I was doing this. So I was like dividing my time 80% on what's working for me, which is LinkedIn, and 20% on testing more platforms. And at that time, I started like testing podcast, TikTok, I don't know, Instagram, Facebook, and all these platforms. Now podcast started working for me, so I took it from there and put it in the other part. But for example, TikTok didn't work for me, so I'm not spending any time on it. I just removed it. I mean, I don't have the application as well. I just removed it because it's not working for me. LinkedIn is working for me, podcast is working for me, and Facebook and Instagram, it's not perfectly working. It's working a little bit, so I just have it in the 20%. So you need to prioritize like what's working for you, and at the same time like to test different stuff as well, because one of them might click and you can like start going all in there. And once you have a team, it would be easier. For example, now we have a designer, we have a videographer, we have a copywriter, we have someone who do the ads for different companies, because I can't manage all these things together. And by the way, it would be easier to produce content, but it's harder to manage all these people together, because you know, when you do it yourself, you know what you are doing. But now we have to, for me, I don't have a project manager yet, so I have to follow up everything myself. It's a little bit harder like to keep the quality. So that's why we do like checklists. We have checklists for everyone where they can like see what they have to do. For example, the designer should see, for example, the brand book and this thing to check everything included in the checklist. So I don't have like to micromanage them. It would be easier. So you have to create processes. It's all about creating systems and processes. Your work would be easier. You will have a checklist. Once everyone enters the company, they would take the checklist and do everything written there. So it would be easier for you if you create systems and processes. But if you are just starting, focus on what's working for you. That's the best advice that I can give. You don't have like to do everything together, because I mean, you can't like be great at everything in the same time.
Right. Do you outsource a lot of your work, or do you hire them? Like, you know, Fiverr and all these other things, because those are big too. Those are big things where gurus would be like, "Oh, you can go get a book cover for $5 on Fiverr." You know what I mean?
No, yeah. No, I don't outsource these things. You know, I outsource some of the things. For example, data entry things, and I don't know, creating some files, doing some research. I outsource these things because I can't hire someone, like pay them, let's say $500 monthly, and I don't have all this work for them to do. So I outsource these things like data entry and this stuff. But for example, for the video creating, podcast editing and this stuff, I don't outsource it. I have someone who does it. But you know, when I started, I found someone. This is something that you can do as well, is to find someone who's great, for example, at videos and doing photos and podcast editing at the same time. So you don't hire 3 different people. You hire someone who's good enough in all these 3 things, so you don't waste too much money. And once you scale, you can even hire for each person separately as well.
Okay. Where, Frazier, I got a real quick question. You know, since we got locked down, we've seen internet use increase by 85% because people are home and doing nothing. So, you know, either they're watching Netflix, they're doing this or doing that. People are on the internet.
Yeah.
What industries do you see across the globe? I'm sure you have clients in the UK, United States, but what are the main industries that you see in the US that are rising and rising rapidly, either because of lockdown or a new business industry that nobody's paying attention to?
You know, there are few places that I'm looking into now. A lot of people are paying attention to that as well, but I'm seeing that it's growing. One of them is vegan products. It's growing amazingly. And the second thing, which is a little bit more general, which is e-commerce. Of course, it's growing again rapidly. So many people are now starting like to sell their products online, even though if they had shops and places to sell in, they are shifting online. So, but I prefer like to choose one niche in the e-commerce to work with if you are going to work with them. So the vegan products is great. You know, mental health is one of the most important topics now in 2021. It will be so important because we are facing too many like hard times, tough situations, like this COVID situation, elections, and people are like the media manipulation. People are consuming content randomly, and everyone now the internet has its bad side as well, which is like everyone have the chance to share their thoughts, and no one controlling if what they are sharing is right or wrong. You can just enter and write something. So I think the mental health issue will be like rise, and it's something so important to focus on. So if you can like do some products which are relevant to that industry, I think it would work. And the health has been like always in the rise, and it's still like working.
Okay,
That's true. That's true. Well, I got one like a tech question. I was looking online one time, and somebody was talking about the different system behind the social media platforms that a lot of people don't know about, algorithms and stuff like that, and patterns and stuff like that. Do you do those stats to help you pick the right content to put on each platform, or do you just go at it and say, let me just throw it out there and see what happens, and see if this works and this works here?
Yes.
Yeah, that's. I mean, not to. I want to add on to what he said. Because when I was writing my books, everybody was like, "This is what the Facebook algorithm is looking for. This is what the Amazon algorithm is looking for." And I'm like, "Okay, but how do you know what the algorithm is? So we can manipulate the algorithm." You know what I mean?
You can't understand how the algorithm works. You can't ever understand. You can find some of the things that work, for example, but if your content sucks, it won't work. So content is the priority, and all the other things are secondary. You can choose the right time to post on, that would work. You can choose the right, format of a post to post, but if your content inside that is not good, no one would care about that. I always give this example. Imagine having an email marketing tool that guarantees that you will have 100% open rate to your emails once you send it to people, and you have the chance to send it to 1 million people. And once they open it, the offer is not good enough for them. They won't buy it. So your message, your content is the priority. I have some posts that I posted them at that time randomly, just random thoughts I entered and post. But because it was a good content, it did very well. And no matter at what time I posted. And I have some professional posts, like video with a camera, with a great setup and lighting and this stuff. But the content wasn't good enough. It didn't work. And as much as you have more experience, you will have this sense of feeling like if it's good enough or not. But again, you don't have 100% control over it. If you feel it, if you think that you have to say this, just post it. But at the same time, if you have the chance like to post it in the right times and this stuff, you can do that as well. Of course, it might boost your content a little bit, but your main focus should be the content. That's something that, I mean, no one can debate it in the marketing space.
Right. Like, to piggyback off that, you say you tried TikTok, it didn't work for you, but then Instagram worked a little bit for you, but Facebook worked a little bit. But you said the other, like LinkedIn. Thank you, Judge. And that works for you. I think LinkedIn doesn't work for me at all. It doesn't work for me at all. When I do it there, it doesn't work for me. Like if I do, for instance, I try TikTok. For some reason, I can advance TikTok a lot faster than advance Instagram.
Yes.
I know the balance both of them, like say between both of them, like the content. Like something I goof around on. I just be outside goofiness.
That's why I said in the first place you have to choose what's right for you. TikTok is not a bad platform, There are some kids that made maybe 10 million followers in 1 month there. But I stayed there for 3 months, maybe, and even more, and I didn't get more than 100 followers because it wasn't the right platform for me. Maybe it might be the perfect platform for you if you can go and test it. But, and on the other side, some people didn't find success on LinkedIn. I know some people who still don't like the platform, but for me, it's working too. So that's why you need to always test to find what's right for you. Because I mean, you might be a great, for example, speaker, and you might open up the video and make some selfies speaking, and people will engage with you. But for example, for me, I'm not a native English speaker, so for example, written text might work better for me because I wouldn't have these speaking barriers while doing a video, for example. So it's again, what's right for you. I mean, you have to test everything. It might work for you and it might not.
Yeah, because a lot of these platforms that we're seeing are for different purposes. Like LinkedIn is for business professionals. Facebook was used to be for casual, like Instagram is now, but then they started using it for business and politics and all this other
Yes.
stuff. And then, Instagram was just a messaging service as to, hey, what am I doing right now to compete with Twitter? You know, and that's where we're seeing it. So understanding, I believe, what these platforms can actually do for you will actually help you too, because
Yes.
we're starting to see that even though we're talking about the top 3 or top 4 platforms, everybody has a platform. China has a platform that works for them. Um, you know, I'm sure in the Middle East there's a platform that they prefer.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I can give you a great example about that. Now if you ask 10 people like what platforms they are focusing on, they would say maybe LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and these platforms. People are competing with themselves to succeed on these platforms. They are trying to find the next best piece of content to get million followers. And on the other side, no one is talking about Quora. And I know some people who are getting millions of views and followers just answering questions on Quora,
Right.
because the competition is lower there, and they are great writers, and they are getting millions of followers. And if you ask 10 people now, I'm pretty sure that none of them would say Quora as a platform that they are focusing on.
Right. Right.
Okay, got a question. So, knowing all that you know about the different platforms, everything, if you had opportunity to create a platform, what would it be like?
I would, if I have that opportunity, I always say that I would create a platform like YouTube. YouTube is the best platform. There's no single platform that rewards good content as YouTube. If you have a good content, first of all, they offer you a high organic reach. You reach millions of people organically without spending a cent on it. And on the other side, if it's good enough, they will keep boosting it for years. I manage like Gary Vaynerchuk's Arabic YouTube channel, and we have some videos there that were posted before a year ago, and for this to this day, every day they still get traffic organically. So they will keep showing your videos to different people and getting your organic reach if your content is good enough. If not, you won't get anything from there. But if it's good enough, that's why I like YouTube, because they keep suggesting your videos to people, and it's the second largest search engine after Google. So a lot of people are searching for videos there as well. So you have higher chances to get your content in front of them because they are searching for it. But for Instagram, Twitter, and these platforms, they are not searching for anything. They are just scrolling. And if you post something, they would see it like for the first 2 days, 3 days, and then it would die. No one will keep seeing it.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that.
That's true. That is true.
YouTube and Google. I mean, Google owns YouTube, so their strategy that they have in place from their search algorithm that you put in, I mean, it's just through the roof, because I could be searching something on Google like anything, best budget 5G cell phone, right?
Yes.
I will see that ad in my YouTube app if I'm watching a video, if I'm checking my Gmail, because they just connect almost everything seamlessly. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I was looking for this phone. How did this phone show up? And I mean, and it's just their search algorithm, their pattern that they put in place. I think it's absolutely genius.
It's crazy.
That is true. If you want to look for anything, you Google, like, you want to find out, you want to buy a product. First, I want to buy an iPhone, but somebody wanted a Samsung. They have a guy that out of nowhere pops up and says, guess what? What's better, the Samsung S20 or the new iPhone 12 Pro?
And that's why now Apple is creating their own search engine, because you already told like what advantages it has. Now Apple is doing the same thing. They are trying to create their own search engine. So once you buy an iPhone, you wouldn't have like Google search as a default. You would have Apple search.
Exactly.
How do you think that's going to work? Because
I trust Apple.
Well, let me finish. They tried Yahoo search. You got Bing search. Now, Bing in our market is only a small percentage compared to Google, but it seems like every time Apple has tried to do something to compete with a Google or compete with an Android, they just fall short. Do you think this is a money move, or do you really think that they're going to put together a solid search engine
No,
platform?
I really trust Apple. I think like, whatever Apple does, they have a strategy to succeed in that. I think it would work if they do it. Because for now, I think it's not approved yet, but many people are talking about it. But if they do it, I think they would succeed. I don't doubt Apple. They are really like marketing is where they are great at,
That's,
and that's why they succeed.
that is true. Like one thing I want Apple, like people don't learn about Apple versus Android. To me, I have Android, is that Apple have a way you can actually save your content without having to keep doing over again or download it to your computer. Android, now all Androids, once you get to a certain point in gigabytes, it starts not loading your content properly, or it won't even keep it. So that's one
Yeah.
myth that Apple came about when they we do this. We're gonna do this storage space to compensate for the Samsung lack of space, and that's the same thing they will do with with the platform. They're gonna find a niche where the other platforms do not touch, and they're gonna actually influence it, and they're gonna explode it. Like simply advertising. Like simply everybody like advertising. Like you said, Apple is great at advertising, right?
Yeah.
So guess what? Apple say, you know what? I'm gonna all my advertisers, certain discounts come in and all the content on my apps on my platform. Then I spread it out. You see what I'm saying? They will put everything in there, and then they would actually dispute it out.
They have the community to do it. I mean, it's all about having a great platform, which both Google and Apple has, and creating a community of loyal people to them. If you talk with people who use Apple products, they are not the same as people who use Android
No.
products. They are loyal to the brand. They like the brand.
Well, I'm gonna interject because I'm an Android man.
Poor guy.
Right?
Poor guy.
Now, wait, let me explain the story why. Let me explain the story why. Back in the day, one of my clients gave me a iPod, and I used to use it to work out and this, that, and the third. And I bought, I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I bought all these albums. They were on my iPod, this, that, and the third. And guess what happened? I lost my iPod, right? So I was like, well, all the albums that I bought, no problem. You know, I went and I got an Android phone. I didn't know what an Android phone at the time, but I needed a phone. So
Mhm.
guess what? I tried to go and convert all those albums or upload them to my Android. Boom, wouldn't work. I lost so much money just from my album content. Now you may say, "Oh, $300 not a lot of money to you. $400 not a lot of money to you," but that was my $400 that I lost just in music and albums. You see what I mean? And I swore from that point I would never buy an Apple product because I then learned after the fact that it was a closed system. It wasn't open. Like you
Exactly.
couldn't just do this or do that. And I understand how
Yeah.
Apple does all their things seamlessly. But I've had more success with Google and Android than I have actually with Apple because, phrase to your point, yeah, they give you 15 gigabytes, but you can now buy a terabyte hard drive and download all your music yourself. So you stay within that 15 gigabyte, whether it's photos or anything like that. And I keep it forever. I never have to pay that. What is it? 20, no, 4.99 now that I think Google is charging. Apple charges the same thing for more gigabytes a month. But I'm like, why would I pay 4.99 a month when I can just go buy a terabyte for $59?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with that. I'm not against Android as well, and by the way, Android has the budget to compete with Apple as well. I always tell that, like, Samsung has the budget to compete with Apple. They can create the same advertisements, they can design the same products, but they are not doing that because they are focusing on a different market.
Right.
So both are great and both have their audiences, and a lot of people are buying Android and a lot of people are buying iPhone as well. So that I think people, their audiences are competing more with them than they do in reality.
Oh yeah, Well,
So
man, I'm trying to pull Frage back from the dark side and come back home. Samsung. That's what I'm trying to do. Come on back home, Frage. We want you.
like Yoda say, no, nobody pay their work. No, I'm gonna stay with Apple.
Too funny.
But it's funny to say that. Like, do you think some platforms will start doing more closed segment in order to create more traffic and like focus on certain, like say, like you say, certain demographic of people. Like say, like some places I've known, on Instagram, where now you have to add location now, where you actually focus on one particular location versus a wide variety of locations. You see us lean toward that way more later on.
It depends. It depends on on your stage. For example, if you are just starting, you can't go too wide. You have to go in depth. You have to like expand a little bit. Be great at that one thing. For example, the same way is for my marketing agency. For example, when I reach out to clients, I don't offer them tens of thousands of services because they would be confused about that. I just offer them one service, and once they start using it and they are they love it and they are getting some results from that, I start like offering them more things. I start expanding my services and offer them more services. So it's the same way. Once you are starting, you can't go too wide because you can't control all these things together. You have to go in depth and then start like scaling and expanding that to go wider.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the reason why they added locations is because, like I was saying before, what we started to see during a lockdown was everybody had to go online, from ordering food to everything else, because you couldn't go out. And so the mechanic place down the street here, nobody knew really where he was. You know what I mean? So when he added location, they'd be like, "Oh, Ruben's right down the street here," or "Enzo's right over here," and they put that little ping in it, and it really drilled down for a lot of people in the area. Because even me, where I live, I'm in New Jersey. I've been here almost 6-7 years, and then when this whole location thing started, I was like, wait, hold on, I didn't know he was right there. Why am I driving all the way across town and he's right here? You know what I mean? And I told my wife, I'm like, we're starting to find things a little bit easier because of the location pings that they're putting in place.
Yeah, I think this is a personal opinion. I'm not sure if it's right or not, but I think COVID forced us to develop a little bit earlier because we had to be here. Like even without the COVID, we had to be here, but it would take us more time to do that. But COVID helped us to do it like faster. More people started like to be aware of the internet, to go there and do that. For example, as you said, many people wouldn't list their businesses on Google. And after the COVID situation, they all started like listing their businesses there. I think like COVID helped us in a good way in that part to like develop faster, to learn more things faster, like to start taking care of that.
Nice.
I think so too. I think that's true because I know like certain things, like certain businesses that was lacking, like you said, lacking in online stuff, whatever. Now, like before, you can find a pizza restaurant, and now you see ads pop up on Google or pop up on Facebook now, and it had location. Like you go like Facebook locations, and type of what's close to me in an area, a whole page of stuff pops up. Before you may see one or two things, like one of those stores.
Yeah.
So now it's like it's fucking and fast. Do you see like in the future going even more than it is now? And they folks say like platforms now instead of like you said, narrowing it down more better. Like folks like you in this area, you're gonna focus on advertising this area. Or when you advertising, your marketing, do you tell your client, do you want to focus in this particular area here, or do you want worldwide? Do you give them the option, or do you just go ahead and advertise that way?
It depends. For example, the way I work is that first of all, I provide a proposal of what's right for the client, because I'm the marketing specialist and I have more information on what's right for them in terms of marketing than they do. That's why I provide them with the options and with the results that they would receive if they follow each of these options. And then the decision is for them, but in a limited way. When I see that they are asking me to do something which might cause them to not get results at all, I wouldn't do it, because later they would blame me. Like they would say like, your services are not good enough because we asked you, for example, to do $1 million in sales, but you only did $1,000. Yeah, but if you look in the details, I didn't do anything. You told me to do these things. So I don't follow that way. I always like offer few options depending on if they have options or not. And I also like provide them with as much details as I can, because sometimes there would be this misunderstanding between the client and the agency. The agency knows everything about marketing, but the client is not, it doesn't know the details. So you don't have like to give them everything like in a fast way. You have to educate them about that, so they understand what's going on. And once they understand you, I think most people would agree to follow your plan. And if not, because there are some CEOs that they have the ego inside and they think that they know everything, they would interrupt you. No, do it this way and that way. I wouldn't work with this type of people, because as I said, later they would blame you that your services didn't work for them.
Oh yeah, I agree. With my clients, because I have a personal training company, I'm still teaching martial arts, I'm still doing real estate, just keeping myself busy, and a few other things. And I always tell my clients, even though they're very successful in their businesses, like they'll be like, "Oh, well, I don't want to do this or I don't want to do that." So sometimes I just look at them and say, "Hey, listen, I understand that you're the CEO of your company, but have you ever seen me walk into your business and tell you what I am or am not going to do?" And they go, I said, "Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing. You hired me to get a result for you, right?
Yes.
And you have to have the same respect that you're asking from your employees for me, because I'm the expert that you hired to get the result that you need,
100%.
Once they understood that, our relationship became a lot better because it was mutual. They were an expert in their fields and what they were doing. I'm an expert in my field and what I'm doing, and you have to be able to trust me for you.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned that. It's all about communication. As you mentioned, like when you educate them about that, when you talk about that, the relationship would even become better. Because sometimes people don't agree with you, not because they don't want to agree with you, because they don't have like enough understanding about the situation. So if you over communicate with them, educate them about that, I think, as you mentioned, that the relationships would go to the next level.
Right, absolutely, no doubt about it.
That is true. That's pretty much everything. I'll tell you, like, do that same example with coaching. You coach somebody else, you the person that have the knowledge. They have to retain the knowledge. And you're that one person says, "Coach, I already know I do this, Coach. I know I do this." But then when they go on the field, they don't execute it.
Right.
The way they actually totally off. Like, go back to what you said too, man. How they go, I know what I'm doing, and they mess it up and they blame you for it. They blame the coaches for it. You know? Right? Right? The coach now, every time you're in charge of something, you ought to be the one to be the scapegoat if it doesn't go the way they want it to go. Which is, I mean, they can do, they can don't. You give good information, they can use it. They have to be able to implement it.
Right.
So
it's like in the beginning, you got to be able to implement it.
Exactly. They got to implement it and actually put it to work. And once they see it work, go back and say, they now want to be, now they're a fan. So now they're eating everything you tell them, eating it up. Just to do this, how much cost this? No questions. They don't ask no question no more. Everything you say do, they do.
Right.
And formulas in everything. It's formulas in putting on everything. Marketing, business, real estate. If somebody don't know you don't know anything, they gonna follow you. They're not gonna understand what you're saying. They're gonna whatever.
Mano, let me ask you really quick. What market do you like to work in? I mean, I'm sure you have clients in the U.S. and Europe. I'm not sure if you have clients in Africa or in Asia, but what markets are you drilling down in right now for your market?
Yeah. So my main most of my clients, 90% of them are from the US. I also have some clients from European countries. My main market that I like to work with is the US and the UK market as well. And European countries are as well. I like to work in there, but I don't have too much clients there. I just have clients from the UK, from the US, and I had one client from Australia as well. But the main market I focus on is the US and UK.
Well, now let me ask you really quick. I know we only have about 5 minutes left. Do you find the marketing in those areas as the same, like like the same outline or format, or is the UK market just a little bit harder or easier than the US market and the Australian market?
Yes, the Australian market is a little bit different, but in terms of US and UK are a little bit more similar to each other. The US market is the best if you are looking to sell something, because it's the biggest market. But the UK market is again big market as well. It's not as big as the US, but again, I mean, people have high incomes there. They are willing to spend money. So those are the two markets that I'm really like sure that everyone should focus on. In terms of Australia, they have a great market as well, but it's a little bit different. I noticed one thing, for example, when we test ad creatives, the same creatives wouldn't that work in the US and UK wouldn't work in Australia. There's a little bit like difference in the like in the behavior there, or what people prefer. Even the accent is a little bit more different than the US and UK. Those countries have different accents as well, but the Australian accent is much different than them. So yeah, I wouldn't say like it's fully the same, but the UK and US are more similar to each other than the Australian market.
And back to Australia, really quick. Do you think it's cultural or society?
You know, for me, I would say it's a cultural thing because you know I haven't lived there. I'm talking like based on what I have tested in
Right.
terms of advertising and this stuff. So I might be wrong in that, but I think it's a cultural thing because I mean like people have high incomes there as well. So if you are targeting like middle or high class families, there are some families there as well, but they don't buy the same products. For example, one of the products that I worked with was luxury watches, and the Australian market wouldn't work for them because I'm not saying that they wouldn't buy watches, but because of the creatives that we used, it was like created for the US and UK market, and the same creatives didn't work for the Australian market. And it was interesting for me as well because they all speak the same language, but you don't have to target them with the same message. I don't have like enough data about it. I'm not. I mean, most of my clients are from the US and UK, but the one thing that I'm sure about is that you have to change the creative and message for that market.
All right. Nice. Nice. Well, listen, we want to thank you for being on the show and sharing your knowledge that you have, especially in this time. And we definitely love to have you back, in the new year to discuss new things, new marketing ideals, and new strategies.
Sure. Thanks for having me, guys. It was a real pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, too.
Bye. Great interview, Frage.
That was great
Great
info.
interview.
I learned some stuff today. I learned some stuff.
Yeah, man. I did too. I absolutely did too. It's just amazing. Here's a guy's story that he went and reinvented himself, and he took the time to learn and study, and that's where he invested in. And 4 years later, look, he's in Armenia, but he has clients 90%, 80% in the U.S. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? And he's doing it. He's doing it, and he's doing it well. And we just want to thank him, man, for taking the time and being on our show and checking it out.
It's true. But no, go back to what you said too. The discipline enough to change.
Discipline.
Yeah,
Well,
discipline. In order to reinvent yourself and then be successful at it. And then he really understand the different things he took to do it. And
right,
he realized it. You notice he realized that he couldn't do it all by himself. He's
right,
to a certain point, yes. But as a certain time progresses, you want to get help specialists in that particular element. The same you notice in film now. You know, like I would go back in film, like they were saying, American market takes a lot longer to produce a film than it do in China.
right.
Because in China, they have a specific person that does everything, not just the same person do everything. Here in America, we have a tendency to do a lot of things at one time. We like to multitask. They do, I want to do this, do that, do this, do this. It sometimes works for us, and sometimes it don't. You know?
Well, that's our show, fans. We want to thank you for listening in. We definitely want to thank Mano for being on the show.
Yeah.
We're going to have, I think, 2 or 3 guests next week. Two guests next week, and then we have Thanksgiving. Am I correct?
Yeah, we have one next week.
So we have one on Monday and one on Friday.
Yeah,
So it's
one on
two,
Monday, one on Friday.
so that's 2 guests next week. I know.
What happened was Thanksgiving. I'm thinking about Thanksgiving, man.
It's all them football
Thanksgiving.
concussions that you took. So that's our show. Thank you for being with us. Hey, this is George,
This is Frazier.
and this is Real Talk with George and Frazier. Peace.
Peace.